I'm Brittney Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is far from boring. And today you have landed in one of my bonus episodes. Now, I said this in my main episode and I'm going to say it again, but I'll say it a lot quicker this time. I would love for you to nominate me for the Australian Podcast Awards. We said it last time, I'm saying it again. If you didn't do it from the main, you've got to do it today. I'm going to leave a link in our show notes. Xander would really love for us to win this pod.
Yeah, Britt's actually punching me because we haven't won anything yet and my shoulder's really hurting and I don't want her to punch me anymore.
We will leave a link in the show notes. If you have a spare 20 seconds, I would love for you to jump on, click the link, just type in Big Business, it'll pop up. You'll receive an email and all you got to do is open that email and click whatever's in there for your vote to count. Thank you so much to all of you who have already voted. And if you haven't, this is your chance.
Yeah, if we win, I'll be able to afford to get bandages for all the bruises Britt has put on me. So.
Oh, man. This episode's going to be great for everyone, I feel. I'm talking about how to nail a job interview, how to land your dream job, and also how to stand out when you're applying for a job. Why is this episode good for everyone? I mean, it's great if you're an employee listening and maybe you want to apply for a new role or change career paths, who knows? And this is also going to be great for all of you business owners out there because I guess I'm going to give you a little insight into hiring and what we look for at Fate. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So we're never not hiring at Fate, and I have done a couple of episodes about hiring already, but hiring is one of the biggest parts of business and it's a never-ending part of business, especially if you're growing. You are always going to be hiring. And I wish I had the stats. We did a 6-monthly company review the other week and our hiring team actually gave us stats on how many jobs that we've advertised over the last 6 months, how many applicants that we've had, and how many hires have come from that. And the numbers were absolutely insane. But hiring is a huge part of our business at Fate. And pretty much we are never not hiring for something. There is always a new position popping up. And for any of you that are curious, if you ever want to apply for a job at Fate, we always have our ads on Seek. So you can type on Google Fate the label jobs and our Seek profile will pop up and that's where all of our jobs will be. And I guess I wanted to talk about this because we are currently hiring for our Parramatta store. I keep going to say Westfield Parramatta, but we are not opening in Westfield Parramatta. We are outside Westfield Parramatta, but we currently have those ads up. We're already in the process of doing interviews for our full-time store manager and assistant manager. And then we've also popped up our casual retail assistant ad. And do you want to know what's absolutely crazy? We have anticipated that our Parramatta store is going to be like a big, busy one. So we assumed that when we put up this retail casual ad that we would get a lot of applicants. In 2 days, we have gotten 651 applications. So that is absolutely crazy. And so it's safe to say that we look at a lot of resumes. And I guess I wanted to give some tips to all of you out there who do apply for roles because there are so many things that we look for and things that you can very easily do to stand out from the rest. And some of these I think you're not going to like, but let's just jump straight into it. Number 1, ChatGPT. One of my favorite tools. That's got to be one of the best things that's come out in a long time. If you don't know what ChatGPT is, I'm sure everyone does by now, and I've mentioned it on the pod. It's AI. It's fantastic. Just jump on ChatGPT if you haven't already, and you'll see exactly what it is. It's this little AI program that you can get it to do anything you want. Now, what surprises me is, especially in recent months, how many people write job applications using ChatGPT. Now, we love ChatGPT. We encourage people to use ChatGPT. I encourage my staff to use it in their roles whenever they can. If you've ever got a task and you think it could be useful to use ChatGPT, I'm like, go for it. But my number one piece of advice is if you are applying for a job, sure, use ChatGPT, but don't just copy and paste it because when you open someone's application and let's say they've written a cover letter, you can tell immediately when they have just pasted that from ChatGPT because it comes across as robotic. and it's just crazy how many people use it now. For us, if someone has used ChatGPT to write their cover letter, I mean, in my eyes, even if they've got like a really impressive resume, if they have just gone copy and paste, like it's almost like you're going to get put into the not suitable category, because especially for us, and again, like always, I can only ever speak from my company's point of view. When it comes to us and when we're hiring for new roles, we are looking for people that are so passionate about what we do, especially for our retail stores. We are looking for people that are passionate about our community, passionate about our product, passionate about our size range. So if someone's just gone, yep, copy, paste, boom, are they really that passionate about getting the role? So my number one tip is use ChatGPT, absolutely, but take it, copy and paste it, and then put it in your own words. Add a bit of personality in there. And this leads me on to point number 2. For example, in this instance, right now I'm sitting in front of my laptop and I've got our Seek employer backend open. It's the dashboard. And we have 651 applicants in this ad that we put up 2 days ago for our retail assistants at Parramatta. We're going to be sifting through those, and there's a lot. We might be hiring 8 and we've got 600 to go through. And the ads, we're turning the ad off in 2 days. So we'll probably have even more. We're going to go through every single one of those. And this is something that people, you might get a video out of this. This is something that a lot of people hate. I've had people say to me, I hate that. I can't be bothered. If you don't have a cover letter on your application, you're an instant no.
That is really interesting that you say this, because I think that the age of the cover letter is over.
Again, I can only speak from my business and
like, yes, everyone still has to do them, but I really feel like the time of the cover letter is over.
Nah.
Yeah, look, I get why you want to see them and use them, because you want to see that they can write a paragraph. You want to see that they're like their punctuality.
I want to see their personality.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing.
I think it's time to find something new. Like, if you're getting 600 applications and you're like, 200 of them have a cover letter, I'm going to look at them, they stand out. You're going to read 200 cover letters?
I mean, when you're going through resumes and cover letters, it's you're just skim reading. Like, we're not sitting there with a fine
Exactly.
tooth comb.
Time for something new, little skim letter or something.
Okay, how about no more cover letters, video?
Actually, I didn't mind that. Like, that's actually quite a good idea.
Look, I can only speak on behalf of us as a company, and it would be different for, big corporations and whatever, where they just want to see your job history and where you've worked, and they're going to hire you based off your experience. But for us, we are also looking for people who are just passionate about fate, passionate about our size range. We want people that are passionate about helping our customers and connecting with our community, because that's such a big thing for us as a company. In a resume, you can't write that.
I just realised that I said punctuality and not punctuation.
Now, look, I get what you're saying, Xander. I know we've had this conversation before, but when we've got 651 applicants and we're going to go through them all, yes, we're going to look at 651 resumes, but let's say 300 of them have also got a cover letter where we can get to know a little bit about them before we've even interviewed them. Of course, they're going to stand out more.
On my resume that I sent out, at the top of it, it's almost like a half cover letter.
Yeah.
So it's something to just briefly explain who I am, yada, yada, yada. But I usually now sometimes don't send a full cover letter out, because...
Yeah, that's all right, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, if you've done on your resume, let's say you've got a 2-page resume or whatever, and the first page has got a bit of info about you as well, then I think that's good.
Yeah.
But when you have 650 applicants and you're looking for 8, and some of them have gone to the length of writing that cover letter.
But here's the issue, Brittney. Here's the issue.
Yeah.
This is my counter argument. You've just said use ChatGPT to write everything. Mm-hmm. I don't think in this day and age a cover letter is a good enough presentation of how you can actually structure a letter or a sentence, because you can easily go to ChatGPT and say, write me a cover letter. This is what my qualifications are, yada, yada, yada. You. So, like, I just don't think in this day and age that is a telling of if someone is the employer you want to hire.
No, of course not. It's just you can get a little bit more of a glimpse of them through a cover letter and a resume, as opposed to just a resume. And my advice to employees out there is get creative. Like if you really want a role, get creative. So for example, when we advertise for our social media positions, sometimes we will have applicants also attach their portfolio of work. Let's say they've made a heap of videos and they've done captions and stories and whatever. They'll jump onto Canva and make a PDF presentation and they'll attach that as well so that we can see a bit of the work that they do.
PDF presentation. I like the sound of that.
PDF presentation.
Get rid of the cover letter. Give us a PDF
Well,
presentation.
I've even seen people on TikTok make a video saying, no one's done it for Fate, but let's say we were hiring. I saw Fate was hiring a new social media coordinator. I've just applied and I'm also making this video because I really hope to get this job. The people that go that little extra mile and do something to stand out, whether it's a cover letter, whether it's a video, whether it's attaching their previous work and their portfolio, you're honestly going to stand out by a mile compared to other applicants that have just attached the resume. And that's all I'm saying from a back end perspective. There would be some recruiters out there who completely disagree with me on this, but this is what works for us in our business. And this is the way that we do things. And every business is completely different. There might be some business owners out there that say, I fucking hate cover letters. I don't even look at them. All I look at is the resume. And if that works for them, that works for them. And I think that's like the beauty of business is there is no right and wrong way. But just speaking from me in my industry where we do have a lot of creative roles and we're very community based, we are looking for those personalities in those applications.
Well, see me on the streets protesting against the cover letter this weekend.
Oh. I could run through a million tips when it comes to actually interviewing. I know that interviews can be really daunting and people can become super anxious before interviews and, be really nervous and feel like they're going to stuff up and whatever. My advice to anyone going for a job interview, and if you are feeling nervous and overwhelmed or stressed out or anxious, take your time when you are, let's say, on the call or in the face-to-face interview. And again, don't be afraid to show a little of who you are. I know that interview, like when you hear the word interview, it can sound really like that sounds kind of serious. I'm going for an interview kind of thing. But especially with a lot of these younger companies who have younger bosses, for example, like I talk about the millennial boss takeover and the Gen Z bosses are coming through. Yes, we want to know about you and your experience and your skills and what you can do for us. But again, don't be afraid to show a little bit of your personality in that interview.
I do this thing sometimes where instead of calling it an interview in my mind, I call it my performance because it actually takes away the power of the interviewer, having that power over you.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going in there thinking I'm about to perform for these guys, then it completely switches that narrative over. Yeah, the energy shifted for me.
I love that. And I would say take your time when you're in an interview as well. I think there is a lot of pressure when someone is in an interview that they get asked a question and they've got to blurt out the answer straight away. And we've found that when people do that, sometimes they can say something that is just like the question hasn't even processed with them and then they'll ramble on, but they've gone on a completely different tangent kind of thing. And then you can sense when people are getting nervous and then they start word vomiting in an interview. My advice would be when you are in an interview, someone asks you a question, just take 2 seconds to have a little breath.
I take 10.
Yeah, take 5 to 10 seconds. It doesn't matter at all. You don't have to, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Blah, 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 blah. There's your answer straight away.
Sport.
Take a second, go, yep. What are my strengths and weaknesses? Take that moment before you then come out with your answer. I feel like a lot of people always rush in interviews to just spit out the first thing that comes to their mind. But my advice from an employer and interviewer side is take your time. Think about what you're going to say and then give that answer.
And remember, you are also interviewing the employer. Don't think this is just the employer making sure you're right for the job. You need to make sure they're right for you.
Oh, yeah, that's another great tip, Xander. Always come prepared with some questions. At the end of every single one of our interviews, we will always say at the end, now, do you have any questions for us? And look, it's fine if you don't have any questions for us. A lot of people might be caught off guard and go, oh no, everything seems really straightforward kind of thing. But take the time before your interview, prepare a couple of questions. They can be as simple as, what does your ideal candidate for this role look like? How do you manage your staff's work-life balance? What are the most important things to you within your workplace culture? It can be anything. And I think it does show another level of initiative if you have taken the time to prepare a couple of questions for the employer. And it also puts us on our toes a little bit too. Rather than us talking at the person that's, in the interview, they can also talk back to us and make us think for a second. Or they can challenge us in a way. Don't make the questions too hard, please. But I absolutely love that tip. Ask some questions back as well.
Watch out. Xander's new podcast called Bigger Business will be out.
Bigger Business. Can you imagine if you came out with a podcast?
Went to a rival network and came up with Bigger Business.
Bigger Business.
Don't even own a business myself. Just doing the podcast bigger.
Just giving your input on business even though you're not in it. Oh, there are so many hacks and tips that I could share when it comes to nailing a job interview, but I feel like these ones that I've covered today are key. Write the fucking cover letter. Don't listen to Xander. But again, it depends where you're applying. Look, if it's fate, write the cover letter. That's all I'm saying. Other companies, I can't speak on their behalf. I can't. Be confident and be yourself. Don't try to be someone else in an interview. Don't try to be a million times more professional than you normally would be. Just be yourself, because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. I don't know about every other business, but we're just looking for people who are authentically themselves. So those are my little tips.